in my 0 point, in my now moment of brand new, I am in essence allowing myself to experience the frequency of joy, of excitement, of exhilaration, of exploration, because we don't realize that we are allowing ourselves to experience the frequency of fear and of enslavement and imprisonment, because we are consciousness. And so that's how we become conscious creators, is becoming aware of what energy and frequency I am in essence allowing my consciousness to match.
Welcome to your awakening journey. Today's destinations include higher consciousness and actualized potential. If all ascenders could now please be seated in a comfortable meditative posture, we're about to ascend. You are now arriving at your host, Bryan Henry.
What is up, Ascenders? You're now listening to the Awaken podcast, a show in which we have conscious and expansive conversation to assist you in ascending to higher expressions of awareness, purpose, and potential. For those of you that are returning listeners, welcome back, Ascenders. And if this is your first time tuning into the show, I want to welcome you to the ascending journey. The 0 point moment is your access to a place of no thing and all possibilities. It's in this place and with this awareness that you endure a sense of childlike curiosity, awe, and joy. And it's in this place that you'll discover your power as a conscious creator being. Cathleena Hailley is a spiritual healer and frequency alchemist that is doing some incredible work in supporting individuals and our collective in aligning with our original soul expression and coming into alignment with source resonant frequencies of love, truth, beauty, and goodness, and transcending the false matrix programming of fear. Because that's what's been playing out in this 3D experience, and that is what we've been rising out of. Programs of fear, not enoughness, inadequacy, scarcity. The way that Kathleen would describe them is the two dominant frequencies that has been playing out has been sacrifice and imprisonment. This is on some level what many are experiencing to some degree today. And this is not reflective or in alignment with our true nature as source energy beings. And as we ascend, we come into greater alignment with this. And Kathleena is here to provide us with the practice and invite us into an awareness by which we feel this process. By coming into 0 point awareness, you too will access your power as a conscious creator. So if you're ready to become a 0 point conscious creator, stick with us for this episode of Awaken. This is my conversation with Cathleena Hailley. I actually want to dissect that term a little bit because it's coming up more and more, 0 point awareness.
Yes.
And
yes.
I know it's central to what you share. But I just want to ensure that all that's tuning in do have a concept of what we mean by that. How would you describe what that means, being in a 0 point awareness?
Yeah. Well, again, that's great because that ties to this things that I've talked about the inauthentic masculine and the inauthentic feminine, and also the inauthentic sense of neutrality. So the authentic aspect of what I'm talking about in 0 point is literally the frequency of truth. And what that is a frequency. And so the actual frequency of truth is the now moment where there is no thing, I have no past, and I have all possibilities available. And that is the literal 0 point now moment without judgment. It is the absolute awareness that I am. That's it. I am.
No thing, all possibilities. I know that's another beautiful way that you like to frame it. Can we go deeper in that? It's
Sure.
being in a state of no thing. So to reiterate, there's no past, there's no story, there's no narrative.
Right.
There's just now.
Right.
But all possibilities.
Yes, all possibilities available. And if you can imagine that is that simple, beautiful, childlike, boom, my eyes are open and here I am. Woo, what is it? And if we can be in that, because what we're duped into doing is like I said, we have on this planet, the whole really design game of this planet that was created was to have this largest range of emotional experiences of any other planet. And the range of emotional experience by design are love, truth, beauty, and goodness. These are the resonance frequencies that source planted basically within this planet. But yet this consciousness came along and induced us and indoctrinated us with fear as a base. And so having fear as your base is what we have then been aligning to, which created this enslavement, imprisonment, sacrifice energies. But if we, we have to pause that. You can't fix it, change it. All you have to do is in that 0 point, that what I'm saying to you, we pause fear, because it's a non-existent, it's a chaos frequency, okay? And a chaos frequency is non-existent as an absolute frequency, okay? It's a chaotic energy is what it is. And it isn't authentic to the experience here, but we're creating it as a frequency. And I did a video on this, my first video that I did, if you want to look it up, it's about your crystalline DNA, resetting your crystalline DNA. And I talk all about this and about what a chaos frequency and how we literally created this frequency within our heads because of the changes in the grid system and so on. But, being in this now moment. So if we just simply, it's that old adage, right? When you listen to these things and you blow them off, but it is simple, although it seems very challenging, which is there's nothing to fear but fear itself, and because it is simply a chaos frequency, because there's no truth to it in terms of anything. It's just simply an energy that we're playing out, and we're fear. You're afraid. It's just being fed as a frequency and an energy that it's constantly taking, because it's chaotic. So it's bouncing. So you can't grab hold. You can't align to figure it out, to stop it, because it's bouncing. And I use the example of like the little Jewish toy of the dreidel and spinning it, right? So that's like a perfect top. If you were to spin that, it spins and spins and spins. But if you were to take one that is, weighted differently, you try to spin it, it's going to stop until you keep restarting it. Well, that's what we keep doing. That's what a chaos frequency is. We're restarting it because we keep engaging in it over and over and over again, right? So we're doing that. So the idea is in this, what we're calling, which is truth of the 0 point, is if we can simply be brand new all the time, because that is the truth. That's why it's the 0 point frequency, is that we are brand new all the time because we are energy. And that is the key to this existence here. And that is that beautiful childlike exploration of that now moment, because as a child is brand new, right? If we can have that imagination, even as our that this is the very first time I've ever experienced this, because that is the truth. It is the first time I've ever experienced this, because there is no thing and there's all possibilities, but we have these dialogues. And that's the game, right? Because we just don't understand that, this vibrating internal is what we are literally feeding outward, that is creating this environment. But what we've been duped into through this frequency of chaotic fear is to look out here somewhere and use whatever energy I'm seeing here to create my internal feeling. But so it's a game that's looping all the time, of this chaotic game. And so what we're doing is we're carrying these frequencies of fear, enslavement, imprisonment, sacrifice, within us. And we keep trying to find something different than that out here. But what did I say to you? Everything's about matching frequencies. So you can't find anything different from that out here, because it's matching you.
And that's what we're putting out. So the moment we take that on as the story, as our belief system, it's that energy and belief that's projecting into the reality that we're continuing to recreate.
Exactly. You have to think, I am the projector. I am the projector.
Say it one more time, just because I think it's such an important point.
Yes, I am the projector of the film.
And taking responsibility from that, with the awareness that
that I am the projector of that film that I am watching.
Yeah. So that brings me to the question. I don't think there's any easy way to approach this, but coming into that 0 point awareness presence, there's no thing, no story being you're not recollecting any story that you're ending up recreating. How does that fit in with consciously choosing to create?
Well, what happens is that when you are in that 0 moment, right? If it's brand new, where it fits in consciously is your intent. So like I have an intent every day when I wake up, as I say, I intend to experience joy and happiness and excitement. And so in my 0 point, in my now moment of brand new, I am in essence allowing myself to experience the frequency of joy, of excitement, of exhilaration, of exploration, because we don't realize that we are allowing ourselves to experience the frequency of fear and of enslavement and imprisonment, because we are consciousness. And so that's how we become conscious creators, is becoming aware of what energy and frequency I am in essence allowing my consciousness to match, because that is what I am doing in my now moment.
Being aware of the frequency that we're allowing ourselves to match.
Yes.
In terms of the frequencies that we are experiencing in our reality.
In terms of the experience that I'm having within me.
Within ourselves.
Within your whole being. It starts, this body is everything. This body is your millionaire. This body is your abundance. This body is everything. Because the vibration frequency of this physical body is what is creating exteriorly in the world. Okay. It is what you are feeding to the world. Consciousness is energy that's being fed. So the vibration that you are experiencing, that's why this has nothing, throw out everything that you think is outside of you. And only experience what's inside of you, only. And ask yourself in your own privacy of your own head, am I relaxed? Am I peaceful? Am I experiencing joy? Or am my intention in a tenseness? Am I doing that? Because this is where your conscious creator begins and starts. It's where the whole thing is. All of it is in, and this is where we've been so duped. That's why I said this is so easy but so challenging, only because we have so many dialogues and external stories going, well, that's not doing anything, because you can't just be in the privacy of your own head and your own space and expect your life to open up, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. And it's like, but yes, you can. Now, the thing is, you will do physical things because you have chosen to have a physical reality. So you're not going to just lay there and do that. Not when you are authentically in the now moment of pure experience. Because in that will expand all these beautiful frequencies and energies that is your creative process. And you will begin to have excitement about stepping forward into a life and a direction.
And it'll come from a more authentic, inspired, like a genuine, pure inspiration. And would you say that doesn't heavily involve the mind? Is that
Yes, that's very true. It doesn't. It actually, well, the mind will have a thought. So the way that actual creative process is that you have a thought, and the thought actually comes out of your head as a geometric shape. It's an actual geometry. And, holding it 14 seconds, it actually moves into the unified field, which is where it creates a match energetically. Well, the movement of it depends on, and the frequency of the match depends on the emotion that you give it. So if you want to think about, the thought is the mental or masculine aspect of your creation, and then the emotion is the spiritual or feminine part of creation. And just like you need a male and a female component, this would be the masculine and feminine that come together, and then they move into the unified field as a frequency, get a match, and come out into the world. So the frequency of your emotion is the most important about what you're creating. And this is the thing is, right, we think we're consciously creating because we're thinking about, okay, how can I do something? But first of all, feel the energy, the emotion of it. And most of the time the emotion is very flat, very, practical in the sense of like, okay, how can I do something? And the other thing is, my thought is not creative because my thought is based on what I think is available. So I'm taking my thought from already visible thought process. So I'm not in the 0 point. I'm not in the no thing with all possibilities. I'm in a vision that I was told. Mm-hmm. So in that has a frequency within it. And so, even if there's an excitement, that's also another thing that can create like that addiction energy, right? Because that's what the lottery does for people, is it creates that same frequency of the addiction, right? Because in like thought, it can open up the energy of like, oh, look at this excitement, I could win that, right? And so it acts like it's bringing this joyful thing, right, into this thought. But it's like a false matrix aspect of that, because you're bringing that in non-authentically, because you're not really doing it from the actual joy, excitement. You're doing it from a place of possibility of saving me from something, of being the one thing that's going to fix me. And you see how that's also tricky, because that's another unauthentic joy frequency. Mm-hmm. You see, because actual joy frequency would be the recognition that, I got all possibilities and how exciting, not something that's going to fix and save. You see how this is all kind of tricky on how these energies have been played out, and how this false matrix has even had individuals have false joy and excitement and those energies, right? So it's very interesting.
Yeah,
how this
can be
all plays out.
Deceiving. So would you say then it's a practice of, I recently heard it being put, get the vibration out before the thought, meaning bring yourself to the feeling, the emotional state.
Yes.
um I feel like, see, the tricky thing about this is positive thinking can support us in this, but do you see a way to go about this that, I guess it does come back to the 0 point awareness, to be able to bring oneself to that state without this entanglement with the mind, and the way that the mind can be distorted.
Yes, because what you're saying there is a key thing that just showed up really fast, is that this idea of, having positive thought means that I am, my emotion is still dependent on an already preconceived notion. And that is all 3D matrix, because my emotion is not dependent on anything. Remember, there's no thing. And so that's the key to it, that it's really kind of one and the same almost. So if you could imagine that the thought, if you will, is just simply the awareness that it's brand new. So if that is my only now thought, that this is absolutely brand new, then that in itself is a glorious positive thought, right? But it's open, but it doesn't have a necessarily a direction. It doesn't have anything to it. You see, it's the no thing awareness of the now moment of all possibilities. That it's brand new. That it just is a brand new instant thought. Here's where I am. And so if in that awareness that, I'm in that now and it's brand new, I have excitement that I add to it. See, that's when we really the conscious creator of this beautiful experience of our God self and our energy, our frequency, you see. But if you watch, what happens is, first of all, if we get into the now, the first thing that happens with most people is a fear, because they're scared, right? Because they immediately bring that frequency in, and then the dialogue, right? And so that's the false 0 point, or being in the now. That's not neutral. You're not in neutral without judgment. You see, that's how quickly it could jump you there. You have to allow that to play out, to let it go. You have to allow that to go, because there's no thing, but that's a thing that came in.
I guess it's also the fear of the unknown, and wanting to this gripping, this clutching onto, feeling like we can control our circumstances, and that's still again rooted in fear.
Well, but that's again what this false matrix has convinced. One thing that I say a lot is everything's backwards in human existence, and it's totally backwards. And that's that huge backwards, is that, I am safe if I know what's coming. But that's actually, you're limited. There's no safety in that. That doesn't exist, because feel it, it can never happen. I mean, even think about all of the ways in which humanity tries to tell you that. Just talk about money for a second and say, oh yeah, well, you're safe if you have this bank account and you have all the savings and you have all this. But how is that ever safe? Because even if you have an actual savings account, first of all, an actual savings account is probably the worst thing you could truly have. And I'm not saying people can have whatever they want, but if you think about it, it's a place that you take your money, that you put away, that you can't ever touch, because it's for some kind of safety. So, and you have to have 2 or 3 times past it to ever even begin to use it. And then it carries on. So what a game, and this is what I'm saying, is if you really look at that, there's no safety in that. It's just a game to keep you, the hamster on the wheel, constantly focused on fear and on this enslavement, imprisonment energy. Because you're never free from it in that capacity. There's always that striving for something. So you see how you could never become a conscious creator from that point, because what's been implanted in all of this dynamic is that you always have to put these things in place before you can do da 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 da. Therefore, you're never consciously creating. You're always creating what you're told you're supposed to do. So you're always in the enslavement, imprisonment, sacrifice, fear frequency. You see what I'm showing you?
Yeah, so you're limiting yourself to it being conditional upon something.
Exactly.
So you're unable, or you distance yourself from that power to choose to create what you wish, because you're unconsciously believing that in order for me to reside in this frequency, which should be fundamental, where we're thinking or we're looking for something outside of ourselves to support us in that. But that's why you say, it's the body. Come back to the body. Come back to what's happening within yourself, and make that the entire focus.
100%. And that's where humanity's been duped to forget about. It's like bypass that from the beginning. I mean, we're indoctrinated as small children with this energy of fear. We're told who we are. We're told how we are. We're told what we can and can't do from very young. And that's all very purposeful, so that you become something, and that the whole human experience becomes one of survival. And so there's never thriving or actually living life. It's all just surviving it. I mean, and humanity has not been happy in overall for eons of time. It's very interesting, right? So, and yeah, there's more fear to let go and try and experience actual joy than there is to stay in this energies and frequencies of this fear and enslavement, imprisonment. That's what you're seeing playing out in humanity right now. There's a huge amount of people that would much rather just keep giving everything up and letting somebody else take care of things, in this illusion that I have this free life and this thing going on, where really, what do you truly have? You know, I mean, it's like, what life are we really creating? You know, and I don't know, but for me, I mean, even some of these, lives, and I'm in zero judgment of anything, but I can't imagine that, this giant energy source had in mind of these very, very lives where individuals are working in these jobs, 9 to 5 that they hate, and they're just getting by, and they're doing these things. I can't imagine that would have been, the desire of experiencing true life. I mean, not to judge, of course, if people are wherever they are. I have zero judgment about that, and where that is, and I have a great understanding of being in that neutrality. I just think that humanity hasn't recognized basically that there's so much more to this, and not more in the way that you're told is more, not in this hierarchical system that's still playing the game. We are conscious creative. We are creator beings. We could create worlds. This is the energy of who we are, and we're amazing aspects of source energy of everything that you see. And I think we're just waking up to that. And that's why it goes back to what I said before. I think humanity in general is beautiful and loving and innocent, and and the whole design. What do you say?
And powerful.
And powerful, and in a beautiful way. Yes, in a wonderful, beautiful way. And I think what's really important to understand about everything we're saying is that, this not just the experience within the body, of course, is the entire experience, but that I'm not just little me in any capacity in anything that I experience. It is, we are way more powerful, yes, in our expression of our energy when we are in the privacy of our home and being in that now moment without judgment and expressing our light. I mean, that is enormous for all of humanity. And I think that this is one of the biggest things, because there's a tremendous amount of people that want to really, really help, and they want to make change. They want to do that, and they don't understand that when they're taking their giant light, which is all this information, and they're shrinking it, and they're staying hidden within themselves, and they're just trying to interact in dialogue. And not that some people are, it's meant to, there is going to be a transition. Even if we got this consciousness off the planet, they're still transitioning humanity into, you know, expanding their light and so on. So there is a communication transitional thing, but there's a difference between doing that, because I think that's what we're doing. We are the transitional, you know, I'm expanding my light, and I'm expressing, and I'm transitioning. And there's a difference between this and, you know, being tightly within my body, feeling that I got to go out and fight against something else, you know, because that's just playing in that game. That's not that place of neutrality and expanding my light. And you know, and this is not mental awareness. This is all energetic. The one thing I will say about all of this is that everyone on the planet knows everything that I'm saying. They know it on some level. And I think if every human being could suddenly just get in the now moment as brand new as that very childlike exploration, this whole planet's frequency would change instantaneously.
I guess it's the having a hard time believing that can be enough, and that
Yeah, but what do you have to lose?
Give it a shot and see.
That's what I'm saying. What do we have to lose? But I mean, think about this, right? Because I mean, even if I feel good, you know, what do I have to? That's how I got to where I am, is by saying, what do I have to lose? I don't like this. I didn't like what I was feeling. I did, yes, and I felt frustrated with all the things going on. I wanted to get out, and I've been trying, you know, and doing all these kind of things. But the bottom line was, I didn't feel good. And you know what it is? It's like really getting that point that, and this is going to sound sort of strange, but it's true. It's where you give up life. You really have to surrender. Like, I don't care anymore. You know, I'm not playing this game anymore. I don't care if I leave today. I don't care. I'm not doing this anymore, because that's that decision of actually being in that 0 point. It's like I'm unplugging from that. I'm not engaging in those frequencies anymore. I don't know how to do anything else, because this is the key. It's not that I recognize I'm in fear and change it to love. No, it's that I simply unplug from it. And that is the very authentic now moment. And that's the first thing, is then when I unplug from it, I say, I've had enough, and I'm right here. And then I start to hear that dialogue come in. I go, no, I don't want that anymore. That's when you start to have the actual experience of, well, it's curious then.
The way that it's coming through to me is, I'm done struggling. I'm done struggling. And when you stop efforting from that place of, I got to control things, I got to change things, you free yourself from that. Because another way that it just kept playing out in my mind was, if you're fighting it, you're feeding into it.
Exactly.
So it's that faith, trust, surrender once again.
Exactly. Faith, trust, surrender, and unwavering discernment. And the unwavering discernment.
One other thing I just want to throw out there, and I kind of brought it up already, was I can definitely understand if there's someone's hearing this and they're having that hard time believing that they can just fully trust in the process of life and trust in this moment. To that I say, give it a shot and see. And it's probably not going to be the snap of a finger and I'm there and I'm never going to go back. But the moment you allow for that sense to be experienced in your being, that's where the knowing resides. That's where that knowing starts to emerge.
Absolutely. And the thing is, it's never, and I don't want to say never in that sense, but at least in my experience, as this 3D matrix is still playing out, that you just get in that 0 point, in that now moment, and you're always at that place of, excitement, exhilaration, whatever. That's not true, because there's dialoguing all the time. There is a huge mechanism on this planet, many fold in technology and so on, that absolutely is bombarding humanity with these frequencies of fear, enslavement, imprisonment, and so on. It's all being played out, all orchestrated out, many fold. So the idea is to be the conscious awareness of yourself. So when you talk about conscious creator and how to become that, it's recognizing, what am I choosing to feel, because I'm choosing that. And when we have a recognition, first and foremost, that I am choosing this, look, we might not choose to say, okay, I don't know where my next meal is going to come from, or I don't know. That may be literal in your existence, but how you feel about that is the key. And what I'm saying is, you may not be able to feel good, but you can recognize if I am feeling awful. And if I can simply pause that feeling awful, is where I am in that 0 point of all possibilities. And that is the practice. That is the beginning. That is the surrender. That is the awareness. Okay? It's that simple. That's the practice. And it's a practice. And so it's literally that, like, and that happened to me. How this really has kind of come home for me is that I had this awareness. I would wake up in the morning, and every morning I'd have this dialogue and this feeling of failure. I was a failure. I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. I wasn't known. I couldn't make things happen. And I constantly had this idea of what I was supposed to be doing. And it was this constant dialogue, and along with it felt this like awful feeling. And so every day I would wake up and I'd say, I don't want that, and I would push myself out, and I'd be doing different things. And I was doing stuff until I finally had one morning, I had that dialogue again. And suddenly I realized that it actually felt comfortable. And I was like, wait a minute.
Through the dialoguing. So it's still playing out, but you were more comfortable through it.
Yes, I was feeling the dialogue of feeling failure. And I suddenly went, because I was saying to myself that I didn't want this. And suddenly I went, wait a minute, I do want this somehow, because there was, and that was my first awareness, was like observing myself going, hold on, there's some comfort in this feeling and dialoguing of failure, because it was sort of giving me permission to be in this place of no thing, of nothing. And I was like, huh. And once I actually recognized that and I felt it, and I was like, that's interesting. I say I don't want this, but I keep bringing it back in. And so once I had that awareness and I matched it, then the next day it started to come up. I could genuinely, with authenticity, say, you know what? No, I don't want that dialogue. But at the same time, I said, but I don't know what success is. I don't know what that feels like, but I don't want this feeling anymore. I don't want that dialogue. I don't know what it is, but I don't. And so that was the beginning practice. And once I was able to start to do that, and I'd say, the next day it'd come on and I'd feel it come in a little bit, and that I'm like, no, I don't want that dialogue. And I was suddenly in that now moment. And I was suddenly really, really genuinely in the place of all possibilities. And so it was like, and so I just kept practicing that and almost like sort of allowing, sort of not pushing away, but allowing more of that dialogue of failure, all that, to just keep dissipating till it just isn't there. And I'm not saying that those things don't come up, because they do come in, but now I'm just very aware and say, no, I'm not choosing that energy and that frequency. And maybe I don't know, what real safety feels like or what anything, but I know what being in the now is. And because this is the thing, we don't know, as humanity, we really don't know what these authentic frequencies feel like, because they're not prevalent on the planet. we've not been experiencing or expressing them. And, you know, we've not been encouraged to have them either anywhere. So that's the awareness, is like, well, I don't really know what real safety feels like, because what real safety feels like is it's a no thing, you know, because it's the now. In the now is where all those authentic frequencies are, and what they feel like is that sense of authentic neutrality, which is different from what I say is that false neutrality, because the false neutrality is the place that tries to make me numb to it. That's where it's taught. You see, that's false 0 point. Or I just am numb to it. I try to shut it out. I block it. And think about how many people have that, where they have no expression of feelings. They can't feel anything.
Yeah. It's not so much not feeling these things as much as it is being okay with feeling them. Another
Exactly.
way that I know that you put it to kind of sum up the way that you're expressing it now is, if I think you said, if you can't feel good, just be neutral.
Yeah. Well,
And that
yes.
neutralizes it. So that's actually a word that I want to kind of bring even greater emphasis to. I actually noticed in your YouTube videos, the vast majority of them, the word neutralize was in the title. I just want to really, again, bring emphasis to the means by which, is it fair to recap that the means by which we neutralize these lower frequency experiences and these emotions is being accepting of it.
Exactly. Simply allowing them to play out. That's exactly right.
And it just dissolves.
And exactly. Because if I'm not attaching to it, there's nothing for it to attach to. Then it becomes a no thing. There's no thing, because I'm in the actual authentic 0 point where there's no thing. And
with that dissolved, the way that I'm seeing it is, it creates this space for you to tune into those possibilities more deliberately.
Absolutely, 100%, because that's where intent then comes in. See, that's when you become the conscious creator, right? When I stop allowing for my consciousness to be driven in the direction of fear and all these kind of things, when I stop allowing that to happen by just simply allowing that to play out, because what did I say? I said they're playing out. And remember, all we're doing is matching frequencies. So this is why we've been matching them, because we've been indoctrinated with this fear frequency through conditioning, through belief systems from very young. So as soon as we understand language as a child, the first frequency that we are aligned to is fear. That's what happens. We align to that through all the ways that we're told who we are. So we're being kind of closed down from that moment. So our consciousness, in terms of matches that. That's the first place of comfort as a human on the planet. And so this is where humanity thinks is their base. They think that's their bottom line, is in this frequency of fear. They don't understand. They don't know this consciously, this is unconsciously. And so in order for us to have that not be the base, we have to let it go. You know, we have to allow it to simply play out, because we keep grabbing it. And remember, that goes back to, it's a chaotic frequency, and so it's moving constantly in this. There's no rhythm to it. And so if we simply don't attach our consciousness to it, that's why I said, I'm going to keep emphasizing, this is the easiest thing to do, but it's the hardest, only because we are not in recognition that we are in absolute full control. We are conscious creators by default. It's what we are. And so if we simply recognize that there isn't anything in my existence that I'm not bringing in, right? And so if humanity could just have this one concept that, you know, I am this energy that has aligned myself to fear. Well, what if I simply just have an observation of that? Be like, well, that's curious. So I've literally like put myself in this room. I've done that. Okay, I have this observation, and then begin to go, okay, well, now if I put myself here, I should be able to remove myself from this if I choose to. right? I should be able to do that. So if I simply say, okay, well, I don't see a door, I don't see a room, I don't know how. Well, how about if I just simply stop pulling it to me? Imagine if I'm just drawing. What if I just took a breath and just imagined it, just sort of dissipating, just allowing it? Because if I'm just in it, what if I just did that? What happens? And so that's that moment, right? Because I'm just here, I'm just right here. So why? Because when you have, and you got to do it, right? When you recognize that you're by yourself, and you're in your own head, you're literally by yourself. You have to get there. It's kind of like these steps of recognition that I'm alone physically by myself. And then I'm literally in my own head. I'm private in here is this idea that you begin to have. Say, okay, I'm in here. Well, if I'm in here and now I brought in this energy of fear with me, well, what if I just decided not to interact with it? Just like if I decided not to interact with you, if I decided not to interact, if I'm in a room and I'm just choosing not to interact with that, I sort of turn my back away from it. What if I have that as my first expression of it? I just sort of, I'm just not interested in you anymore.
Mm-hmm. It's like the bully on the playground.
Exactly.
What's his response going to be if you don't react to him?
That's exactly. And so that's kind of the bottom line to what we're saying of how to be in that neutral. How to neutral is simply be in that neutral. Like I'm just not going to respond to you anymore. How about if I just simply be aware that you're there because you are there, but I'm not going to react to you. I'm just simply having no reaction to you.
That neutralizes it.
There's the neutral.
I'm a believer. Sign me up to 0 point awareness.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I was speaking to this a little bit earlier through a different lens, but it's ultimately the same idea. It's time and time again, my experience continues to point me back to, or continues to provide me evidence that that's the space, that's the state we want to be in. And just, I think the other thing to say to this is it just intrinsically feels good.
Exactly.
Is that not
Yeah.
enough? If that, because ultimately everything that we're trying to do, or everything that we think we want, is a function of what we believe it's going to help us feel.
Yeah.
So why not skip that step and practice feeling the way that you want to feel, which, as I think you've done a brilliant job, Kathleen, of pointing us to and giving us the gateway, the access point to, is the 0 point awareness.
Yes, beautiful. Because a key thing you said in there, which is the 100% that'll kind of full circle everything we've been talking about here, is that I said to you, this entire ascension process is the physical body, is ascending, which is all of those frequencies, and it's all based on our emotional experience. So the bottom line is that, yeah, whatever I am feeling is my entire existence upon this earth plane, and I have 100% control over that. And that is what we're bringing into the awareness, that all the rest is the illusion, all the story. That's why I said to you, we may have these literal experiences that we feel we have about our life, and people say, well, how am I going to pay my bills, or what am I going to do? I say, well, to get to that solution, make a decision about how you feel first, because your energy, your feeling is the key. And even if somebody doesn't have a necessarily awareness of believing that, what we're talking about here is, like you just said, it intrinsically feels wonderful to be in that place of surrender and now moment of excitement. Like, what do I have to lose? And I think one thing I will add is that part of this 3D matrix is so clever at trying to keep humanity from doing that often a belief or a story will play in that says, oh, you're in dreamland, or you're just, playing out, and so you have to also let that recognize, just like we talked about not engaging in that, with that bully. It's that same thing. It's just simply being aware that, oh, isn't that interesting that that is also dialoguing, or that, and just simply allowing that to play out. See, because this is the thing about what, that we do have two timelines, we do have things going on. And that's why I say is that had we not had that, it would be very simple. But this is why it is a practice. And I'm emphasize this to people so that they realize that this isn't something you get and have and you're done, and it's all good. That it's a practice of allowing yourself to continually be brought back to that beautiful right now moment of authenticity, and have your intent when you're in that now moment to be that I intend to feel joy and excitement with that childlike exploration, that this is brand new. Think about how freeing that is, and all the energy that if we have that, like, this is brand new, that means I get a do-over every moment. How brilliant is that?
I like that. I think that's a beautiful phrase for us to use as kind of a stepping stone. This is brand new, and I can just feel that sense of at easeness, if you will, settle in as you look towards your reality and say, this is brand new. And it's true. That's the other thing that I wanted to kind of just mention. It there's never been a moment like this one. You've never been here before. There's only here. So why impede your experience of the gifts that this moment has to offer? Why be anywhere else when this is all that's here, by being distracted by this idea that there's some sort of way that you can be interpreting this situation? Let you free yourself from that story and experience this moment for what it is, being brand new.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Yeah, because especially because a lot of people have the story of the future being so scary or whatever. It's like, well, you can only be in the now moment anyway. I mean, this is all there is. I said it's only now. That's pure existence. So.
Okay, so there's one last question I want to ask you. This used to be a question. Well, actually, this is a rendition of a question that I used to ask, but I'm thinking I'm going to start back asking this as the final question of every single interview. And I want you to know you're the first person that I'm asking this in this fashion. So there's a good chance that you're the first ever to be asked this question on the podcast. That ends up being a question that I ask every guest. But the question is, if you just realized the power to telepathically communicate with all of humanity in this now moment, what would you say?
Wow. That just opened up a huge energy. I would say, you're beautiful, amazing, loving beings. Just know that.
Cathleena, I want to thank you so much for being here. That goes to this podcast episode and sharing the space with me, but being on this planet and doing all the incredible work that you're doing. I have a deep appreciation for everyone for everyone, but specifically so for the individuals that are so clearly committed to serving others and being their brightest light, which you so clearly are. So again, I want to thank you for that. Now, before you go, of course, if anyone is interested in checking out more of what you have going on, where would you point them to?
Sure. I would point them to CathleenaHailley.com, which is a website that's in the process. So it'll be fully up hopefully soon. Also, frequencyadjuster.com is that you can find about my channeled instrument. Also have a YouTube channel, and please subscribe. It's Cathleena Hailley. I'm starting to have a lot of videos there, and you can find me on Facebook as well. So those would be great. And if you'd like to be on a mailing list, you can send me an email at CathleenaHailley@gmail.com for now. I'm building that as well. So thank you. And you, Bryan, have a beautiful energy. I think you're amazing, and thank you. And thank you for stepping up and creating this platform. And I'm sure that we will have many co-collaborations together. I will look forward to that. And as you as well, and in the beautiful energy that you bring and the service to humanity. So thank you. It's many, many blessings.
I appreciate that, and likewise, of course, I'm also looking forward to continuing to collaborate. So definitely, we're gonna look to have you back on the show in the future. I think that goes without saying. And to the listeners, the senders, all the links to everything that Cathleena has shared with us there will be in the description of the podcast notes. So you can find that togetherweascend.com/awaken 41. Yeah, togetherweascend.com/awaken 41 is where you can find the podcast notes to this episode. Cathleena, one more time, I want to say thank you. And until next time.
Beautiful. Thank you. Take care.
Senders, that is going to be all for this episode of the Awaken podcast with Cathleena Hailley. Are you here? Are you in this 0 point moment? Have you returned to this awareness? Because this is the space of no thing and all possibilities, and your power as a conscious creator is accessed at this point, in this moment. We're ascending, family. We're rising into greater expressions of love, truth, beauty, and goodness. And both Kathleen and I are glad to have you alongside us on this journey as we, as a collective, transcend the false matrix that has kept us tied down to a lower frequency state. We're rising out of these patterns. We're stepping into something new. This is our ascension. Senders, thank you again for being here, for your love, for your support. Until next time, keep ascending.